Hello, I'm State Representative Henry Yanez. Welcome to the State of Your State, my public affairs show that brings the people of Macomb County news from our state capital. Drive through any neighborhood on any day of the week, and you're likely to see a lot of recycling bins waiting to be emptied. But did you know that Michigan's recycling rate is about 15%, lower than every other Great Lakes state, and one of the lowest in the country? Matt Flechter from the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality is here to tell us what the state is doing to help increase recycling. Matt, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It seems like a lot of communities that have recycling programs for the residents. So why is Michigan's residential recycling rate so low?
Michigan's recycling rate is 15% right now, and we are one of the lowest in the country. Once Michigan was a leader in recycling. We have a long history of being leaders. We had one of the first deposit container laws. We had some of the first curbside and drop-off recycling programs. And for the past 2 decades, other states have passed us by. And we know that to double our residential recycling rate, which is our goal, we need more access and we need to increase participation. So for the people that don't have access, we want to make sure that they have a recycling bin or a convenient drop-off. And for the people that have access, we need to make sure that they know why recycling is important for the environment and the economy.
So Matt, what seems to be recyclable changes fairly often as more products become reusable. So what kind of products are recyclable?
Oh, so much. Paper, metal, glass, and plastic. What we're seeing right now is a real interest by the manufacturers, the people that are making the packaging that we all put in our recycling bins. They're seeing the need to make sure that they get that recycled commodity back, those materials, that paper, metal, and glass, plastic back so they can make new products. And they're also realizing that it's important that they make their packaging to be recyclable in the programs. But really what you need to do to know what's recyclable in your community is to check with your local recycling guide and talk to your service provider, whether it's the city or the private hauler. So there are many technological advances that have happened in recycling. We've seen things like single stream recycling, where it all goes into one bin, and that's enabled us to take even more recyclables. So it's good to check out and make sure what's recyclable in your area.
And it sounds like it makes it a lot easier for the consumer as well,
right?
To recycle. So how does a local government start a recycling program?
So in Michigan, we have multiple tools that a local government can use. They can use contracting. They can leave it up to subscription-based. They can do it themselves. So we have a variety of different collection programs and the involvement of local government. So really it does vary, but we do know that there are some best practices. There are communities that do better than others and programs that do better than others. For example, the single stream recycling that I was talking about. Adding to that something like an incentive program like Waste Management does with Recycle Bank, which is available in your communities. That program gives incentives to increase and actually use your recycling bin. But really the goal is to make sure that the recycling program is as easy as it is to throw out the trash, and the cost is also incorporated into the total system.
So Matt, I represent both the City of Sterling Heights and the City of Warren. The City of Sterling Heights contracts their program out. The City of Warren runs their own program. Do you see a typical way that a municipality does that? Do most of them run their own program, most of them contract out, or is it just hit and miss?
By far, most of them contract out or leave it up to subscription-based, where people look in the phone book and choose their hauler or their provider. The ones that contract out have the most success. They're able to get the best service for their municipal dollars. The programs that do it themselves, that run it themselves, also have those same efficiencies, and they can have better control over the education and outreach and making sure that people know why it's important to recycle and how to recycle, because it's the city or the community that's able to do it. So, but either way, that's an important component in any recycling program, making sure that there's an education component, because just because the bin is there doesn't mean that people are going to use it.
Sure. So what are the benefits to communities to get or start a recycling program?
Right. So really it comes down to the individual. as far as the cost, if you're talking about the cost. So individuals can save money. They can save money because in systems that have what's called a volume-based disposal pricing, or where you pay by how much trash you put out. So you're going to pay, a resident is going to pay to get something off their curb. It costs money to move something from the curb to either a landfill or incinerator or a recycling facility. The beauty about recycling is there's value in the material, and those materials are sold on the market and made into new products. So by recycling, it actually reduces the cost of handling those materials. So really, there are real cost savings, environmental and economic cost savings, by having a strong recycling program.
So in effect, this could be a moneymaker for local communities because they're actually saving money.
It could for the individual.
It could
So
be.
there's always going to be a cost.
Yeah.
So it's going to offset those costs of
Okay.
disposal. Exactly. And really, there's some other benefits if you're looking at the community benefits of cost. By keeping those materials into the recycling stream, it creates jobs and provides the materials that local businesses need to grow. So strong communities have good recycling programs, also are supporting manufacturers that need those materials to make their products.
And there is, obviously, as you just stated, there is a benefit of actually having less trash going into landfills. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. So really that benefit comes down to making sure those resources, those materials are used as a resource and put in the best place so that they can continue to add value to the economy.
Yeah, because if we're only recycling at a rate of 15%, that means that the rest of our trash is going into a landfill. So, so what is the impact of that? Having more trash going into landfills than being recycled?
Right. So waste that doesn't get recycled ends up either in a landfill or in an incinerator. And so we want to encourage people to make the best choices with what they're going to do with their waste. And if they can put it into a recycling center versus a landfill or incinerator, then we're sending it on for many years to come. That material will be used. But if it goes into a landfill, it goes on a one-way trip, and then we have to maintain that forever and ever.
Yeah. So we talk about the value of recycling. Do you have any statistics or any dollar amounts in regards to what this recycled material is worth?
Right. So the materials do have value, and it's estimated that the value is about $435 million of value is just in the commodity value alone. So that's the paper, metal, glass, and plastics sold on the market. And that's if we're going to meet our goal. So it's real. Those are real dollars that we're spending money. We're spending money to send something that has value, put it in a hole, and let it sit there forever and ever, where that value could be put into Michigan's economy today.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about you and what you do. I see that your title is Recycling Market Development Specialist. That's
right.
That's quite a title.
Thank you.
And so tell us a little bit about what you do, and if you could tell us also what happens to all those recycled products that we leave on the curb and they get picked up. What do they turn into?
Right. So I really like my job. I don't know if it's obvious when I talk about this stuff, but
you seem very passionate.
I really like this stuff. I've been doing it for a while. My job is really making connections between the supply chain. So these materials have value. We know that. We've already talked about that. But sometimes there are challenges moving those materials through that supply chain, whether it's transportation or collection or processing, or maybe it's a material that we don't have a use for yet, and it's a new packaging material and we need to get it into a new product. At each point of that supply chain, there are things that I work on to help make sure that the material that we all have at the end, when we're done with that packaging, that it can make its way into a new product. And so what's really surprising to me is because we don't have a good recycling rate in Michigan, we are importing other people's recyclables and we're sending our own recyclables to the landfill. So somebody like Ford Motor Company, who's working on their aluminum F-150, the aluminum should be coming from all of that aluminum that's being landfilled in Michigan, if we could get the supply chain as market development specialists work on getting that material from the curb into products made in Michigan, then we've supported our economy and protected our environment.
Yeah,
That's why I like doing it.
Yeah, and it's actually something that our economy really has been missing, hasn't it?
Right.
The whole use of recyclable materials.
Absolutely.
So in regards to that, the governor about a year or so ago came out with a recycling plan, the Michigan Recycling Plan of Action. And just wonder if you could tell us a little bit about that plan and how it's being implemented.
Right. It's really to be working on this for so many years and finally start seeing some leadership from our elected officials in the legislature is it makes me very happy that we're getting that leadership, because a lot of times people just don't know what to do and how to grow the programs. They don't have the policy tools or the funding mechanisms necessary to grow recycling and be leaders. And to finally get that interest, it's good news for Michigan. That plan really focuses on education and outreach, measuring recycling, market development, making sure that we increase access, and make sure that participation rates go up. So it's a 15-point plan that we're implementing right now, and we've been able to create a Governor's Recycling Council to guide us as we're implementing that plan. And the Department of Environmental Quality has 4 new staff that are working out with the communities to make sure they know how to set up successful recycling programs. And those individuals are really knowledgeable, and you can contact them by their contact information that's on the screen right now.
Well, that's great. And this, I was going to go there next, was, how can residents learn more about recycling programs and maybe even starting a program in their community if they don't have one now? What are the resources?
Right. So the best resource is first make your consumer voice heard. So make sure that people know that that's something that you want. The haulers are going to respond to those requests by their customers, and the local officials are going to respond to the requests by their constituents. So you need to call and talk about that. The other thing is to call and find out what your recycling program is. You may have a recycling program and not even know it right now. So calling to just do a little bit of research and figure out whether you have a recycling program, where the drop-off is. That's the best way to start it. And then finally, of course, contact those 4 staff. You can contact me. My contact information will be there, and we'll work with you.
That's great. So one last question. I'm a big recycler. I do curbside recycling in Sterling Heights, and before we had it, I would take my recycling to the local recycling station close by, but I know not all of my neighbors do that. And some of my neighbors just say it's just too much trouble. So give me some arguments as to why, or that I could use to convince my neighbors that recycling is the thing that they should be doing.
Well, first of all, if it's too much trouble, you're doing it wrong. So it doesn't need to be. So just a little bit of thought in your house, making sure that you have a recycling bin in your rooms and you're not having to sort out your trash. Make it easy. Make it easy as possible in your garage, in your kitchen, in your bathroom, so that you can manage the material in your own house and get it separated and get it to the recycling center or to the curb. So make it easy on yourself. Don't make it complicated. The second thing is there really are economic and environmental benefits to recycling. So people don't necessarily think about that all the time. They may know that it's good for the environment, it's good for the earth, but they may not know that there are jobs and it's created and energy savings that result from having a strong recycling program. So think about all of those benefits and make it easier on yourself and do a little research and figure out where your recycling program is. That way we can all help the environment and support the economy.
Great. Matt Flechter, thank you so much for coming on our show today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
A lot of great information on recycling. And we're going to take a short break, but we'll be right back with Mr. Mike Byrne from the Michigan Public Service Commission.
They told me a bottle couldn't dream, that I would never become a superhero. But I learned how to fly, just to come back in a new disguise and be the hero that I've always wanted to be.
NFC, AFC, offensive linemen, defensive tackles, quarterbacks, and cornerbacks are all working with United Way for a million little reasons. The kids of our communities, to ensure their academic success all the way to graduation day. You see, it takes about 12 years to create a graduate, but it takes the same time to create a dropout. And the difference between a kid becoming one or the other could be a professional athlete, or it could be you. Studies showed the earlier we get to kids, the better their chances. So become a United Way volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor, and make a difference in the life of a child, for the life of that child.
Give.
Advocate.
Volunteer.
Live united. Join your favorite NFL players. Take the pledge. Go to unitedway.org.
Can you concern with me? Imagine what you'd see if every child had a book to read. 'Cause every kid across the nation deserves a book to read, and we can make it happen right now.
No, I don't know what you've been told, but kids with books learn so much more.
So the mission is for us to get a book to each and every child.
So let's join hands, book people unite.
Unearth hidden passion.
Come on, we'll have a good time.
Planting seeds of inspiration to motivate some magic.
To change the writing on the wall, writing on the wall.
Can make a difference. One book can inspire a child. One book can be the first thing that helps to change a life.
People unite.
Read to a child today and spark a lifetime of ambition.
Hey, it's Ava and this is Tess from Do Your Selfie, where we recreate the hottest looks from today's biggest music videos.
After cleaning out our closet, we have a lot of clothes we don't wear anymore.
Like this old pile of t-shirts.
It's not garbage, it's actually a new rug.
And to make it, all you need to do is cut, tie, and glue.
Cut the t-shirt into strips
Tie the strips into knots.
and glue the knots to the bath mat. I love it. Give your garbage another life.
And recycle.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Okay. Welcome back to the State of Your State. I'm State Representative Henry Yanez. With the rising cost of utilities across the state and recently approved utility rate hike of over 3%, it's more important than ever to use our resources wisely and to use energy efficiently. From our homes to our businesses, we try to adjust thermostats to be comfortable but not wasteful of energy that it takes to heat and cool our buildings. Mike Byrne from the Michigan Public Service Commission will talk about home energy efficiency programs that can help us stay comfortable while saving energy. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today.
I'm glad to have you. So, Mike, tell us a little bit about the Michigan Public Service Commission. What is exactly that you do for the people of the state of Michigan?
Sure. The Michigan Public Service Commission is an entity within the Michigan Agency for Energy. The commission regulates electric and natural gas utilities in the state, among other things. Typically, those are investor-owned utilities. Municipal and cooperative utilities tend to be regulated at the local level. And so the regulation that the state does is to regulate rates that the utilities charge their customers. The utility cannot increase its rate without getting approval from the MPSC. The PSC also looks at the terms and conditions of service for utility providers, and
looks at the quality of service that those providers are providing. We want to ensure that rates are reasonable, that the service is being provided in a safe and reliable manner, and to the extent possible, help to promote economic growth in the state. So a lot of important stuff.
A lot of important stuff. So just to surmise all that, you regulate electric and gas utilities.
Indeed.
Fantastic. So how does exactly the MPSC, Michigan Public Service Commission, help utility customers? What are some of the programs that you have, for example, one of my constituents, Washington Show, might benefit from?
The Commission has a number of programs and consumer protections in place that would be useful to utility customers. Any utility customer would be able to call into the Commission or the Michigan Agency for Energy and make an inquiry about their utility service. They could also file a complaint regarding the service, and staff would investigate that and provide a response. There are billing and service quality rules that the Commission has in place to provide protections for customers. An example of that would be shutoff protections for certain customers, like senior citizens, low-income customers, active duty military personnel, and customers with certain medical conditions. At the same time, there are programs that are available dealing with energy efficiency, or what we like to call energy waste reduction, that can help customers use less energy and in the process save money on their bills.
Yeah, you mentioned energy waste, and I have to tell you the governor's energy program, he focuses on energy waste, which I think is something that has really been lacking, and I'm very supportive of reducing our energy waste in this state. We hear a lot about energy efficiency and using energy wisely so we don't have any shortages. Why should families be concerned about energy and making their homes more energy efficient?
Well, you know, it costs money to produce and distribute the energy that we use to heat and power our homes. So to the extent that you're able to use less energy, you should be able to benefit from that by seeing lower energy bills. Installation of energy efficiency measures in your home should translate into lower overall bills. At the same time, the Public Service Commission has found that for every dollar spent on utility energy optimization programs, customers can expect to see savings of up to $3.85. That's attributable to avoiding the cost of having to produce the energy that otherwise would have been used. So even if you don't install energy efficiency measures in your own home, although we would encourage people to do so, you still benefit from the overall utility programs by seeing lower overall bills because of that.
And so can you give us an example of what are some of the improvements people can make in their homes to make their homes more energy efficient?
Sure. I think residential customers have a lot of options that are available to them. It can be as simple as making sure that your light bulbs are as efficient as possible, replacing older, less efficient bulbs with newer ones that use less electricity to provide the same amount of light. You can undertake more major sort of investments as well. It could be upgrading a furnace to a more efficient version, or insulating your home to make sure that air is not leaking in and out.
And are there programs out there that people can take advantage of, either through the state or through the utilities, to help show them what energy efficiencies upgrades they can make?
Certainly. Every utility company in the state of Michigan runs an energy efficiency program. So it certainly makes sense to reach out to your utility company to see what kinds of programs are available to you. One way to make a determination of what kinds of things you can do in your home to improve your energy efficiency is to have a home energy audit conducted. And typically utility companies would help to arrange something like that. A professional would come in, would look around your home for opportunities for investments that you could make to reduce your energy bills, and you could take into consideration any potential costs for improvements, weigh that against potential energy savings, and see if it would work out for you.
Yeah, so one of the things that I do hear quite often is the concern that it's going to cost them more to have someone come in their home and do an energy audit and then do the upgrades. Are there any financial assistance programs for people to take advantage of to do energy efficiency in their home or upgrade their appliances?
Certainly. I think typically with the utility program, and it varies from utility to utility, there are likely to be rebates available for specific measures that you may install, or potential incentives as well to install those measures. Another option that might be available to customers who are considering a more major investment, something that might be higher upfront costs, is to look at the low-cost financing available through a program like Michigan Saves, where you would be able to get a rate that's lower than you would typically find in a bank or another financial institution. But when you look at it in conjunction with the financing terms and the savings you'd see on your energy bill, it could make sense to invest in. So MichiganSaves.org is a great resource to find out more about that.
So I'm going to put you on the spot. We're going to find out your knowledge base here. So someone's watching this show, and after they get done, they say, I'm going to go out and do something to make my home more energy efficient. What could they do right now that's inexpensive that can help make their home more energy efficient?
Well, we talked about light bulbs. I think that's a great first step, and it's typically an inexpensive step. Another thing that you could do would be to install a programmable thermostat and make sure that you're using that. Doing so could save you up to 10% in heating and cooling costs over the course of a year. You could also look at something like installing weather stripping or caulking around doors and windows, especially to ensure that you're not having air leaking in and out of the house. And installing duct covers and seals can be a good way to increase your energy efficiency as well at a relatively low cost.
So with any other program, we find that education's key. You know, and I have a 2-year-old grandson, and I want to teach him to be energy efficient and the importance of energy efficiency. So what are some of the things I can do to teach kids I talk to at schools or my own family members on how to be energy efficient?
Well, kids learn from the adults that they're around. So, to the extent that we're more aware of the choices that we're making and how they impact energy efficiency, I think that'll get passed on to the next generation. It can be as simple as turning off lights when you leave a room, or having an understanding that, it costs more to produce energy when everybody else is trying to use it. So if we're able to reduce our overall energy use, or at least shift it to times when it's less busy, other people aren't using it, that can have a positive impact on the environment and on our wallets.
Oh, that's great. So can residents contact your department, the MPSC, if they have any problems with any of the utility companies? And how should residents go about contacting MPSC if they have any questions or even a complaint?
Certainly. The best way to do it is be on the internet, michigan.gov/energy. That's the Michigan Agency for Energy site. Can link you right to the Public Service Commission. Take complaints, take inquiries. Also have a lot of great information, consumer tips that would be available for customers. We also have an 800 number that you could call, 800-292-9555. And our staff is always willing to assist in answering those questions.
Well, Mike, that was a lot of great information. I really thank you so much for being on our show today and giving the information to my folks back home in Macomb County. Again, if they want to get more information, they can visit the website that you mentioned. So thank you very much for being on the show today. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in and watching the State of Your State. I'm State Representative Henry Yanez. Thank you, and until next time.